This is the talk show that takes a no-holds-barred approach to politics, where truth and integrity are the standard and the Constitution honored. From Renaissance Studios, this is Champion News Talk Radio.
Good morning, and welcome to another great edition of Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net, where you can get all of your latest political news. This is Carol Parisi, and today our founder, Jack Roser, and myself have a very special guest, and it is Jim Edwards, and Jim Edwards is also part of our Champion News team. Welcome, Jim. This is great. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, and
he used to be mayor of what town?
Sycamore.
Sycamore.
Like the tree.
The tree, okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I used to do this program till we found a permanent replacement.
Yeah.
You had me fill in for a while here, Jack, before there were cameras and action on the internet.
Yeah. Well, glad to have you aboard today. You have a lot to offer here.
Well, Jim is doing a lot of wonderful work with Champion News, and there's been a lot of great things going on here. And I know before we get into what Jim is doing, I would like to ask Jack a little bit about some of the things that Champion News has sponsored and you have sponsored over the past few weeks here.
Yeah. Well, as you know, this program goes in WIND 560, who spent almost, I think, about a year putting together a big event called TPAC and Teacon. I'll get that straight. And they were nice enough to ask me to fill in as a presenter, which let me abuse them with a speech or two. The thing ran from Friday night through all of Saturday with speakers. We had Breitbart on Friday night, and we had Glenn Beck on Saturday night, and in between we had a lot of breakout sessions. It was an astounding success. They were expecting something better than 400 for dinner. It was a sellout at over 650, right to the wall, wouldn't take any more. This thing came off really well with a good crowd of people, and WIND did a marvelous job of organizing this thing. And they even let me deliver a speech Friday night and Saturday night. And I think it went over better than usual, considering the lowly source. But there were a bunch of very pleased people that we brought out and developed during the course of that day plus. A lot of the themes for the Tea Party in the direction of organization, working with the Republican Party, seemed to become a goal of theirs, to take the activity of the Tea Party people and weld it into a working political cooperation involving all of their values, working on towards a victory in putting them to practical use in the state of Illinois.
Well, now, but the Tea Party is not a Republican organization. They're clearly an atomic entity.
Atomic and autonomous.
Autonomous. Well, but they clearly are not part of the Republican Party, but they'll carry the water for the elephant as long as their principles and values are expressed by those candidates.
Well, they don't have to tend to the other end of the elephant. They are an independent lot, and properly so, and just great. Some people find them having too much disorganization, can't be controlled, and so forth. Well, they can't be dictated to, that's for sure.
It's a good thing.
And it's a good thing. Yes, there's a spontaneity that leads an American spirit to the whole thing, because they do represent basic American values, which is really what it's all about. But values repeated, in their local gymnasium ad infinitum aren't going to move politics. But organizing to do politics and getting a lot of the citizens aware of what the values are and bring them into new prominence, the Tea Party is doing a lot of that. And I think it's going to lead on to electing far better people. After all, Illinois is known as the most crooked state in the nation. There's too many people at the top of the Republican Party that cooperated with the Democrats, who were the major authors of this debacle
That's a fact,
in
Jake.
Illinois, that it has led to a bankruptcy of the state. They're not only the most crooked bunch, the Democrats, but this thing has presented a disaster, especially with the pensions and the involvement of the teachers union in presenting that debacle. So I think it's a good thing about the arrival of the Tea Party people that they brought with them a very mature expression of the values that real Americans have, that the Republican Party has in the past espoused and is now learning that they better re-grasp what gave them an excuse for being.
Well, I don't know if you had a chance to look at some of the license plates at Teacon, but we had people from every state in the Midwest represented here. It was huge. Then we had Guy Benson, who's done a great job with Town Hall, Andrew Breitbart, Dana Lash, Stephen Crowder. He had a great routine, and of course Glenn Beck. I have a chance to meet Glenn Beck. It was an honor. It was a marvelous event.
This is the voice from behind the camera. It is Mike Brown.
Never give the sound engineer a microphone.
Now, before we go to Jim, let us also, there was something that just happened here about a week ago that you had at Otto, and we didn't get a big chance to talk about it last week.
Well, they didn't want a lot of publicity, and it was to bring Rick Perry, the present governor of Texas, and a candidate for presidency of the United States of America. I personally think this is a great guy, and I'd like to see his principles become installed with power. Certainly, Obama has had a debacle on his hands. He's made a mess of the thing. And the good thing about Perry is this: he simply has been elected 3 times as governor of the state of Texas. It's the biggest state. It is the biggest job gatherer and principle of success in the whole United States. It is the biggest and best led state. And here's a man that's never been beaten in an election, and he had 3 terms as governor in Texas. Other claims to fame, but I went down there to meet him beforehand in August in order that we'd get him to come up here and start his campaign in Illinois. And what I found to be is a very genial and friendly, decent guy. Nothing put on about him at all. Rick Perry is a very experienced fella. Who else can say they led a major state for 3 terms and has got them in the best position for jobs and financial success of any of the states? So any carpy picking on a remark by his wife that says he goes to church occasionally, he is a decently religious man, but the press has been trying to turn that into a negative. I find him articulate and decent and slightly religious as well.
I was so impressed. You know, I've watched and I've been following all the politics for a long time, but Rick Perry's speech was probably, he was so authentic, he was so genuine, and his message just is absolutely 100% conservative. And actually, Jim, you started off this with a prayer, and your prayer really inspired him, I believe.
Yeah, the tone of that prayer, Jim, that was amazing.
Well, Jesse asked me to do it the night before, and the first thing that came to my mind is no, because it's easier not to. You know, it made me a little nervous because this is a guy that's running for the President of the United States. But I
now listen, you were mayor of a fair-sized town, and you pumped out a lot of baloney in your time.
Yeah, but that was a very moving prayer.
It really was terrific.
Resonated.
I should have brought it here. I could have read it.
Yes.
But it was a fundraising event, and there was not a lot of publicity given to it, and there are tremendous restrictions on how you go about raising money. It's very detailed to stay within the law. And as a result, there wasn't any press present at it. But I'll tell you, the 100 or so donors that were in the room, it was full of Gemütlichkeit, to pick a
What
German
was that word?
Gemütlichkeit.
What does that mean?
Well, that means friendliness and enthusiasm.
Gemütlichkeit?
Yes.
So you went to a Catholic school. Can you spell that?
I'm not going to try that. But everybody was brought to a real feeling of togetherness in terms of the values he presented. It was a remarkable occasion, and he left to go on to other money-raising trips, which is prelude to the more public things that are going on with those debates. But there's nothing stupid about this man.